Okay. Comrades, one of our Edviet satellites has picked up a communication. This will probably be important to you in finding the source of the signal that sent out the order for the political compass to be launched. Patching it through to you now.
Come in. Any and all frequencies, come in. This is Flight Commander Ed Drake of the United Kingdom Air Force. My position has come under attack by unknown forces.
Okay, found the source of the original signal. They're bouncing it off the Edviet satellite, and it seems to be at one of the observation posts in West Edmoney. Surely the world of Ed is a bit more imaginative with naming places. That as may be, but we've got a mission, and right now the world of Ed needs us. So, got the location, let's move out! Mr. President. At ease, General. Though, what you been working on? Okay, we're engaging with the political compass. You're gonna be asked a heck of a lot of questions. And it's divided up into 6 pages. Say whether you strongly agree, disagree, or strongly disagree. One page concerning the country and the world. One page on economical attitudes. One page on personal social values. One page on wider society. One page on religion. One page on sex. Heck, if I could have quite an interesting weekend in Vegas with all that. Oh, well, you see, I was just working on little idea of my own. I mean, Ed's good. The Eds will probably find who sent the signal, and hey, Ed knows what Ed's doing. Navigated a political compass test so many times before, and well, with such a sort of, having crossed the political spectrum so many times to try and make friends, Ed could probably find the politics of chickens in the barnyard. And so I was just working on a test of my own. Look. Okay, I have a look. Sure thing, Mr. President. Okay, General. Yeah, which of these is your favourite of the 7 deadly sins? I mean, you're not really meant to have... So anyway, pride, greed, vanity, envy. I mean, it's kind of esoteric, but well, that could also be said for the political compass test on quite a few of the questions. So, why did the Axis lose World War II? Stalin-based, freedom rings, racism cringe, Wehrmacht ignored. Yeah, it's kind of simplistic, and don't really answer the question, but see how you did with other things. Okay, what is your favorite Okay, General. Yeah. Crying to the moderator, using slurs as jokes. At least you put jokes in quote marks. Thirst trap selfies and name dropping dead Germans. These are very much stereotypes. And, yeah. Okay, who do you simp for? General, this is not helping anybody. And that doesn't even mean anything. Who do you simp for? It's not even meaningful political discourse if you're gonna use stuff like simp. Ugh. And I'm glad that Honey Mary isn't here to see that question about women. Seriously, General. I mean, this does not seem like a very good way of dealing with politics, just reducing everything down to crude stereotypes. I'm sorry, Mr. President. I mean, most of the politics I know is more about boo this guy, hate that guy, yay this guy, love that guy, you know. It'd be like some figure you could gather around and almost like football or something. You know, my team. And don't need to be too hard on yourself, General. A lot of people don't understand politics. Quite a lot of the people who are in it don't either. But, well, that's just the point, really. Where you stand on all sorts of things can be complicated. I mean, back in the day it weren't so complicated, I guess. No, but that was always particularly good. I mean, back then they had something called feudalism. We probably consider it authoritarian right these days, but that didn't exist at the time. There wasn't really anything for it to be right of or left of, as it so happened. Now, in that, a particular family would rule, and everyone else would give part of their production to them, or something like that, in order to get protection. But, over time, this started to change. You know, people who traded and such, and others just wanted something more. Less, you know, less tied to a single fealty. And so, after a while, various fealties of different families coalesced around rulers who eventually got more powerful than those ruling families and started to replace them in what's called a nation state, which would eventually lead to the age of absolutism and the rest of the alt-right coming together, unifying people around single cult, around perhaps a religious identity, or what eventually culminating in following the word of one leader, while on the other side, perhaps you get more about a national community. Be it a civic nationalist unit that's perhaps more about specific culture and that outside people can embrace it, or more ethno-nationalism where basically the difference is, can you convert into it or can't you? Ethno-nationalism you can't. And you see, all that sort of build up, so you'd get what we now have, the authoritarian right square. You know, it's not just Nazis. And where everyone's positioned in it, that's something people debate. But point is, after a while, you started getting merchants. a sort of middle class. They didn't own land, but they didn't have to spend all their days working the land either. And so they got a bit tired of all these people telling them what to do all the time, all these ruling authorities, and so they wanted to have a bit of the pie themselves. They wanted to be able to share in the franchise. And from there, you start getting that more sort of like, no, more decisions should be made by the individual. Or local communities, perhaps, but we'll focus on the individual for now. And so you start getting this sort of, what we'd now call the libertarian right. Right, as people wanted more stuff decided by free markets, or individual preference, as it were. And of course, you have other changes as well. Because after a few centuries of the free market developing, well, we got to see that it may have some problems here and there. Then there are questions, people feeling like, perhaps the government should intervene in the economy. Some people feeling that perhaps there should be more public goods, more public services, education, healthcare. Others thinking even further, such as government-run industries, maybe transport infrastructure, such as trains or buses, or perhaps even state-owned industries, and thus you'll start getting more left-wing distinctions in the economy, as some think it should still be with the private sector, while others believe that no, the state should have more say and influence in how the economy works. Not to mention, of course, the fact that there's also, within left-wing spaces, perhaps some social distinctions. After all, just because you believe in public ownership, also, you might think that perhaps there should be public ownership to encourage more civil liberties or less rigid social planning. And a society perhaps where, for example, minorities are listened to more, and there's more embracing of the diverse communities, which in societies that focused mostly on central planning were somewhat lacking at times. And so there were people who wanted to do something about that. And to promote general welfare. And that while welfare should be promoted, it should also be community-centred and from the ground up rather than a top-down decision. Decision by a possibly distant state, hence you have the libertarian left. But of course, General, it's important that you're thinking about all these things, understanding what's going on in the world and how you think and feel about them, and what values you have and how you intend to put them into place in the world.
Who shot Ed Drake? Will the Eds be able to save them? What about the signal and the political compass test? How will that turn out? Find out on the next and final exciting installment of The Political Compass, or How I Stopped Worrying and Learnt to Love the Memes. If you like what you saw just now, why not like, comment, share, and subscribe to the EdSpace YouTube channel, or check out the shop, link in the description, or go to www.edsmadlibs.co.uk. That's www.edsmadlibs.co.uk. But either way, thank you for watching, and it was lovely having you here.